Kingdom Come Deliverance is an open-world action RPG with simulation elements developed by Warhorse Studios in 2018. Kingdom Come Deliverance is one of those games that just looked so cool to me when I first saw it. The combat looked cool with the way you can attack from multiple directions, and the army battles looked huge and exciting. I thought it was gonna be like Skyrim, but with a more realistic setting, and I was pumped to play it. Yeah, I didn't play it for too long before dropping it. It was very hardware intensive, buggy, and I just couldn't get into the gameplay. It's been a few years, and with the second game out now, I thought it would be cool to come back and actually go through the game to see if I like it. The graphics look good still. I played the game on high settings for the most part and it ran fine. It is still very hardware intensive though. My PC fans were maxing out every time I boot the game up, so even though I can probably run it at max settings, I hesitated on the fact that it might blow up my apartment building. This is a 7-year-old game, by the way. The animations during dialogue are a bit stiff looking, and the cutscenes are stuck at 30 FPS, or it might even be 24 for that cinematic feel, which I'm not a fan of. The game never crashed for me, but during one of the quests, the loading screen kept looping and I had to restart the game. I don't really know why, but it never happened again after that, so whatever I guess. Overall, the game looked good, mostly, with some occasional issues, and it runs fine. The gameplay for me is very divisive. You mainly go around the map, talk to people, do quests, and get into fights, which is what you would expect out of an action RPG. This game though adds a lot of simulation elements to its mechanics that aren't optional, which could turn a lot of people off. You can get dirty and smelly, so you gotta shower once in a while. Saving is done only by sleeping or drinking booze. There's no quick saving, so you'll have to make do with autosaves, which are frequent enough, but in a big RPG like this, having access to frequent quick saves to test shit out would have been better. Fast traveling to a location is faster than actually going there, but you have to wait and watch the little guy on the map move his ass there, which can take some time. Actually, there's a lot of waiting in this game now that I think about it. There are many occasions where you have to wait for a certain time for a quest, and it's just poopy anus. Like, it takes forever to wait. The more time you want to wait, the faster the waiting gets, but as soon as it hits the final hour, it turns into molasses, like it just got done testing dildos at the factory and its legs gave up. I'm not sure why. Maybe the game has a lot of loading to do, but man, does it make me contemplate life. Making potions is like the realest thing ever. You gotta follow a book to see what liquids and herbs to use, mash up the herbs, get the fire going, pour in the liquid. Like, when it's this close to real life, I'd rather just learn it in real life. It's needlessly time consuming here, and I don't want to bother with it, so at least it's optional. A hunger system where you have to eat once in a while? Cool. Just keep some food in your pocket and nibble on it later. Not intrusive. An energy meter that depletes the more things you do throughout the day that replenishes with sleep? Great. I gotta heal and save after a couple of quests anyway. Not very intrusive at all. The autosaves are good mostly too, but when I have to wait for dozens of seconds up to a minute to pass time, or to get to the neighboring town, it takes me out of the game. Like, well, now I have to watch a board game piece walk around or a clock spin. You can argue that this is needed for the encounters when fast traveling, but you can just skip the walking and show the encounters when they happen. And when the little guy gets stuck on the map for whatever reason, fuck me in the ass. Overall, I don't mind the realism when it doesn't waste your time, and KCD is half and half on that front. The combat, I'm convinced that it's just there to fuck with you because it makes no sense most of the time. The main problem is that most of your attacks either get blocked or parried. The tutorials tell you to just keep spamming attacks in one direction, or like start attacking from one direction but then change at the last second. None of which works or are so inconsistent that there's no point in using them. The only way to properly whoop some ass is with Master Strikes, which is basically a counter move done after getting a perfect block. I went 12 hours without this move and this changed the game. Not exactly in a good way, but it made the combat more tolerable. The only problem with depending on Master Strikes is that you have to wait for the enemy to attack first, so it forces you to play more defensively and on the enemy's terms. It doesn't solve everything because gangbangs exist. Of course there are gangbangs here, and you will be gangbanged. When that shit happens, you just gotta hope the AI gets stuck in a bush or trip over the shoelaces or something because you done fucked up. One guy will be in the front spamming attacks, another's gonna flank to your back to give you back shots, and the last is gonna pop you in the head with arrows from a mile away. Your lunch money's gonna get taken, your ass is gonna get shoved into a locker. The gangbangs can still get you even when you're all leveled up. I remember there are a couple of skills that help with gangbangs, but they just don't make much of a difference. It also doesn't help that the game locks on to an enemy as soon as combat starts, which makes gangbangs harder to manage. Man, it's like Gothic all over again. You can argue that getting fucked in a gangbang is realistic, and you'll be right. But is it fun to still be shit even after all the training you've done? After all those hours of leveling up, getting the good skills, and still get veggie'd? Oh, and those big group battles? They might look epic, but all you can do is just stand there and poke at some dudes until the others finish them off. You can freestyle a bit, but you can see that the AI doesn't handle it very well. While the combat's ass, the role-playing aspect is nice. There are a lot of skills for you to learn, including ones that aren't even necessarily needed to progress the game, like the dice rolling and alcohol drinking ones. Almost everything you do has a skill or stat tied to it, with its own list of perks. There's one for your horse, your dog, your bad drinking habits. The speech system is cool too, since it doesn't only depend on your speech stat, it also takes in consideration your reputation and strength/combat skills. Now you don't have to use speech or level it up if you don't want to. You can just use your muscles and scare people. Stealth's a thing. You can pickpocket, lockpick, and sneak around to choke people. It's pretty much Skyrim, except it's a lot harder since people are way more alert and pickpocketing doesn't pause the game and it's timed, so you gotta hurry up with those hands. It's alright, I didn't use stealth much, but when I did, the realism did add some tension to it and made my balls suck back into my body, so that's a plus. Exploration didn't really hook me in. There are a lot of interesting sights, as the game calls them, to find, but I never found anything that made me nut. Sometimes I find some money, sometimes armor and weapons. I expected to find locations with some environmental storytelling like, whoa, shit happened here man, damn, but nope. Maybe there's some I don't know about. I don't usually do many side quests, but the ones here are nice. Some of them have fully motion captured cutscenes which made them feel like main quests. I can't recall a single game that did that. It's rare to see the side content getting a similar treatment for the story as the main ones, which says a lot about the dev. Overall, I find the gameplay to be a mixed bag. The mechanics are simulation heavy, but not everything was better for it. The combat is ass and makes you rely on this one move, but even then gangbangs exist so you're never safe. The exploration didn't hook me, but man, those side quests are something else, and the devs should be recognized for giving the side quests the same amount of care as the main quests. If you like the medieval setting, and you're the type of person that really like to immerse yourself in that setting, KCD is a no-brainer. For me though, some of the simulation aspects took out the fun for me, and the combat needs to be changed to accommodate multiple enemies and rely less on master strikes to win. The story takes place in medieval Bohemia, which in modern day is the Czech Republic. The goat King Charles just died and his son Wenceslas took over, but he's pretty shit at his job, so his brother Sigismund from Hungary kidnaps him and tries to take over. You play as Henry of Skalitz, a young blacksmith living with his parents, until the Cumans come to burn everything down, leaving you without parents. Henry hauls his ass out of Skalitz with the sword his dad made for a noble named Sir Ratzik to take shelter in the nearby town of Tomberg and warn the people of the Cumans. Almost getting sucked off by the lady of the castle, Henry goes back to Skalitz to bury his parents. Some bandits popped up to fuck him up, take his sword and leave them to die until a girl from the village, Teresa, came with some soldiers from Tomberg to save Henry and bury his parents for him before taking him to Teresa's uncle's house. Uncle Peshek used a lot of money to heal Henry, so he has to pay him back, but first he heads into the town of Ratai to speak to Sir Ratzik about the invaders. Sir Ratzik takes Henry in as a foot soldier, and his journey of becoming the baddest of asses this side of Bohemia with dice rolls and bath wenches begins. The game is basically Henry going around the map, investigating the Cumans and bandits they're working with. There's even a bust on counterfeit currency, which is neat. You make friends with nobles like Lord Hans Capon, who's a big goof, and people like Father Godwin, who you spend one of the most chaotic drunken nights with out of nowhere, and he has you do a sermon while hungover. I fucked it up and he hates me now, but it's a night to remember. That bathhouse quest with Capon was great too. Anyway, you infiltrate one final bandit camp after killing a former bandit on the run in a church. Man, that fucking church quest was anus. You get thrown in there to find the right guy to kill. It's needlessly complex, like you have to live there for a few days and do boring monk shit while trying to figure shit out. It's almost like a Hitman level, and while I appreciate the devs for trying something different, it's a bit too out there, I feel. I couldn't figure shit out soon enough, so I got poisoned by the guy I was supposed to kill. He's actually the first monk you talk to in the church. You can make a deal with him or fuck him up then and there. I wanted to make a deal with him because he doesn't look like a bad guy, but he wants you to do a bunch of other shit first before leaving. I couldn't figure out where to get the shit he wants, and there's like no quest markers to guide you. I got the sense that the game wants me to pickpocket some monks to get keys to places with the items I need, but since my pickpocketing and stealth skills suck smegma cock, I got caught and had to spend a few days in jail. At this point, I just said fuck it and loaded the save right after entering the church and snapped the guy's neck, take his shit, and left. I am never becoming a monk, ever. In the bandit camp, Henry gets caught and beat the fuck up. The leader is this guy named Eric and his boyfriend Toph. They reveal that they're working for Sigismund, and also Sir Radzig is Henry's dad. Henry escapes the camp with the help of Skalitz's old gravedigger turned bandit, and return to Rattay to inform Sir Radzig of the camp. Radzig said he'll explain the daddy thing later, and Henry is dispatched to the bandit camp to burn it down. The camp gets burned, but it was just a distraction for Top to lie his way into Tomberg Castle while the guards are away and take over the castle and MILF. Henry and gang are now trying to get into the castle and retake Tomberg. The Lord of Tomberg, Sir Divish, orders his engineer Tobias to make a trebuchet, but he doesn't know shit, so he tells Henry to go to an engineer called Conrad Kaiser for help. There's a section where some guy tries to kill Conrad, but I didn't believe him, so the guy tracked his ass all the way to Tomberg to kill him, but failed because he walked into a military camp. The man's got balls. The trebuchet gets made, some bandit mercs try to fuck up the camp but failed, and you capture Eric. So now you got a bargaining chip. The gang goes into the castle, whoops some ass, and makes a deal with Toph to release Sir Radzig and Lady Stephanie for Eric. Toph runs away on a horse and releases Radzig in a field nearby and fucks off. He still has Henry's dad's sword though. Henry catches up and Radzig explains why he left him. They go back to town, Henry has a dream about his dead dad, the nobles begin to plan their next move. At the end, Henry goes with Lord Capon to whatever they're doing next, and that's it. I think the story is alright. It's mostly a standard ass medieval adventure with swords and shit. It's mostly a historically accurate tale with some liberties taken here and there, so it can't go too wild. Your town gets burned down, your parents get killed, and you want revenge, so you go get it. You see Henry become his own man, working his way up the ladder, becoming a proper soldier. The characters are alright too, they're all pleasant to talk to like Sir Radzig. He's a pretty straight-laced guy and professional, and you can see that he cares about his job. Even Sir Hanush, who's foul-mouthed most of the time, has a sense of honor when it comes to his job, like during the hostage situation at the end. Lord Hans Capon seemed like an asshole at the beginning, but as you progress through the game, work with him, you learn that he's goofy, a bit spoiled, but a decent fellow. Yeah, straight-laced is how I would describe the whole thing. I expected some spice like betrayals and conspiracies and shit, but that never happened. The bad guys are clearly bad guys and the good guys good. Radzig being Henry's real father came out of nowhere. There wasn't any setup for that reveal aside from that good luck son line. He treated Henry like any other soldier, though I guess he did have enough faith in him to give him a chance to become a soldier. You would think that he would be more protective of him like his other dad who didn't want him to fight and use swords, or at least ease him into the job better. There are some scenes where Henry questions his life and why the world is the way it is, and I would have liked to see more of that and use them to flesh him out. Would have liked to see King Sigismund too, and not just his two lackeys. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a decent game. The game looks good and runs fine, though it does heat up my PC. The combat is not satisfying, but the role-playing aspects are good, with a lot of skills to learn and choices to make. There's some simulation aspects that are taken too far, like the slow fast travel and waiting though. The story is pretty standard, but the characters are decent. There are a few DLCs, but I didn't like the game enough to go through them. If you want a medieval open world RPG with simulation heavy mechanics to immerse yourself in, KCD does the job. I found some of the simulation aspects annoying, but you might love it. Come for the role-playing and world and not for the combat. KCD 2 is out now, so I hope the devs at least change a couple of the complaints I have. I still want to see where Henry's gonna end up, so I'll be keeping an eye on the discount. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, see you in the next video. Later.